Guys, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over the most important preview of the season so far. This is the preview to Rangers versus Club Brugge in the second leg of the Champions League qualification, and this is our make or break game. If we lose, we're in Europa League, and if we win, we make Champions League. This is the most important game of our season so far. So let's get into it. Firstly, I want to talk about last game. Obviously Rangers lost 3-1 to Club Brugge, and realistically it should have been more in the first half, but we should have came back into it in the second half. So it's 50-50. Really poor first half, extremely poor. Club Brugge made a mockery of us because we made so many mistakes that led to the goals, with the first goal literally coming in the second minute, and it was an awful mix up in the back where John Suter and Brugge just had a terrible miscommunication. Even Butland was involved in it, and just the ball ran right by, and I just couldn't believe it. Honestly, I was like, what is going on here? I thought it was going to be offside. I was like, have they just stopped because it's offside? But obviously not. It was a terrible miscommunication, and it is what it is. It was 1-0. For the second goal, came from a corner. No one was marking. Absolutely terrible once again from Rangers. We need to sort our set pieces out. We are really bad at conceding from them at the moment. And then the third goal, absolutely no one picked up the man in the middle, and he just broke through and shot. It was a brilliant goal, to be honest. Butland should maybe done better, but it is what it is. You can't really do too much about it. And then the second half, Rangers kind of came alive, I'll be honest. We had a good response from Magoma, crossing in and getting an assist for Danilo, which, I mean, great. That was a great start to the second half. And then obviously we had the chopped off goal of Gassama, and what a run this was. It was incredible how he got through the defence, and obviously it was chopped off because he kicked out of Mignolet's hands. It's hearsay, it's he said, she said. It looked pretty clear cut that we should have scored. Mignolet had his hands on the ball, but it wasn't, I don't think he had full control on it, but it is what it is. It was chopped off and we can't do anything about that. But Rangers looked really quite good in the second half. Obviously Hamza Egeman came on, done a little trick. I was pretty flabbergasted by that, to be honest. So yeah, he played alright. Everyone done their job once they came on, and it wasn't a bad second half. I really think Rangers should have at least walked away with a 3-2, which is unfortunate we didn't, but we did get the 3-1, and we looked much better in the second half. But yeah, that is the first recap of the first game, and that's just my review of it. Really poor, but a lot better in the second half. Now I've had a week to think about it, but yeah, we're going to get on to the next part of this, because we are now off to Bruges and we need to get a result. That is exactly what we're going to talk about. How are Rangers going to go to Bruges and get a result? Because this result matters. We need to either win 2-0, 3-0. We cannot let Bruges score. We need to be on our A game in defence, which worries me, because in the first leg it was evident in the first half that we were not very clear cut in our defence. We were making mistakes, we were putting balls over the top, where the passing was just not fluent whatsoever. So we cannot do that in Bruges, and we need Jack Butland to be on his A game if our defence isn't. But yeah, this is what we need. And the attack, it's one of those ones where I think we've done well attacking in the second half, but just not enough. We just needed to put the nail in the coffin. If we got a 3-2 result, this game would have been much easier to go into and say maybe we can get a 1-0 and then maybe extra time, penalties. But we need a 2-0 and we have to shut Bruges out at their own stadium. And granted, that's a hard task, but Bruges shut us out at our own stadium, at Ibrox. So it's not impossible, although our goals were mistakes that they did get, but it is what it is. We have to move on from that, and we need to just take this game as a fresh start. We cannot think about what we've done in the first leg. It has to be a clean slate where we just go for the win, and Russell Martin needs to get this first team right. And yeah, we're going to get into that. We're going to go into the lineup that I want to see for this game against Club Brugge. Okay, so this is the lineup I'd put out for the second leg against Club Brugge, and I'm going to be honest, this is probably my most controversial lineup I have put out this season, and honestly, this is one I would put out, so I'm going to stay controversial. And we're going to start with Jack Butland in goals. Honestly, he's been absolutely solid. He hasn't made many mistakes, and the mistakes he has made, he's recovered very well. And honestly, I think he's really won a place back in my heart, because he's been great. From last season, he was making a lot of mistakes, and this season, he's just been back on the ball, which is brilliant. Then I've went with James Tavernier at right back. Max Aarons has been dropped. I think from my previous couple of videos, you might understand that I'm not a big fan of Max Aarons, and I just don't think he's done very well. And he said himself he is feeling the pressure, and on a big European night, we cannot have that. So we went with the experience of Tavernier. He loves a big game, and especially a big European night. Then at right centre back, I went with the Giga. He's been great. Honestly, he's been absolutely brilliant from what I've seen. The only thing I have seen that has worried me slightly was that mistake against Club Brugge in the first leg, where he had a big miscommunication with Suter and Butland, and it led to the first goal. But other than that, he's been great. And then I went with another one that may be controversial, but at this point, I just don't see what we're seeing in him. I'm going with John Suter as being dropped for Emil Fernandez. Emil Fernandez, he looked pretty solid in his debut against St. Mirren. I think he looked pretty good, and John Suter's just been very unreliable for the last couple of games, making lots of mistakes. So I've just went with a young talent, and he's pretty tall, so he can defend a corner in Emil Fernandez. Then at left back, I've went with Jayden Minonga. He's been great. From the two games I've watched, Club Brugge and St. Mirren, he's been everywhere. He's been absolutely brilliant at left back. Then at left mid, I went with Raskan, probably our most reliable team player. Can do a lot of things, dribble, passing, create chances, just great. He is probably our best player in the team at the moment. And then I've went with Lyle Cameron at centre mid. On the right side, he's been absolutely brilliant from signing us. He just showed that fire and that hunger to play for Rangers, and I love that. I think he's went very under the radar as a signing, but yeah, he deserves his praise. And then I went with a slightly controversial one at left wing. I've went with Finlay Curtis. I've swapped Gassam and Curtis over. Gassam is now playing a right wing for this game in my lineup, and Finlay Curtis has got the left wing spot, meaning that Ant-Man has been dropped. And the reason this being is not that he's been bad at all or anything like that. I think Ant-Man's been absolutely brilliant, but I really do like what I've seen from Finlay Curtis. He looks like one of them players who, when the ball comes to him, everything he touches turns to goal, and he can score a goal, which we do need, and he breaks down defences, and that is just what we need for this game. We need an attacking presence, and yeah, I'd like to see what Finlay Curtis can do in a big game. I don't see this one actually happening. I could see Ant-Man still keeping his place, but in my lineup, I want to see Finlay Curtis because he brings a lot to the table from what I've seen. And then I went with Theo Asgard in the centre. I think he was good in the St. Mirren game. He got a bit bullied, so hopefully that is not the case in this Club Brugge game. I think it'll be a lot less of a physical battle, and I think he might be able to show his flair, because he looked quite good in the St. Mirren game with his flair. His first touch wasn't bad. And then we have went with Gassam on right wing. Gassam's just what it says on the tin. He's been absolutely brilliant. He provides goals, he makes our chances, he just takes on players, and every time I watch him, I'm just like, he's going to do something. Then I've went with someone extremely controversial up top at the moment. Rangers fans are not happy with him, but honestly, who else have we got? We've got Mikey Moore. I could see Mikey Moore starting this game. I think Desser's injured, but if he is not, I'd start Desser. And Danilo, still just don't trust Danilo, unfortunately. But I have went with Hamza Egeman up top. This one's a very controversial one. I think we need to put the controversy aside, and we need to get one of our best strikers on the pitch to get us back into this game. It could be a parting gift, because if you go elsewhere, I don't mind. Just give us a parting gift. Scores a hat-trick. But no, I could see this not happening whatsoever. But I'd like to see Egeman in this lineup, and I know that is completely controversial from what happened in the St. Mirren game with him refusing to come on, but I think he needs to be in this lineup. But yeah, that is my Rangers lineup that I would put out for this Club Brugge second leg. That is the Rangers lineup I would put out for this second leg of Club Brugge. I think there's a lot of attacking aspect in that one. We really do need to focus on the attack. Because Gassam cannot do it all. We've seen at the end of the games, he really does become gassed. The main one that I've seen this from was Dundee. He was trying to do everything, and the poor boy just looked absolutely done for at the end of the game, because he was the only man working to try get us a result, which we did. We did get that 1-1 against Dundee, which respectfully, not a great result in our eyes. We should have done so much better. But he's working so hard, and we just need someone else to do that work as well, and just play for the badge like he does. But what I've seen from Club Brugge is not that they're not great defensively. I did say this in my preview to the first leg. They're horribly defensively, and in the second leg, Rangers need to expose this. We tried to expose it in the first leg, and it did work in the second half. It really did, because Rangers controlled that ball really well, and obviously we scored 2 goals with one being chopped off. And that's just in the second half. If we played that whole game, if that first goal didn't happen, I truly believe Rangers would have had a different outcome in that game. I think it just knocked us on our back when that first goal went in such a short amount of time into the game. 2 minutes in and we were knocked on our back. Then they got their second. And at that point, I think Rangers really had the fight taken out of them for the first half. And we needed that second half to go in and then really give them a punch, which we did. And if we can continue that in the second leg, who's to say we can't go on and get this result and then finally get back into the Champions League after a very long stint of not being in it. I don't mind the Europa League. I love the Europa League song, one of the best ones going, won't lie. I love a good Thursday night, but Champions League nights are just something different. We really like this, and the bonus with the Champions League is we get a hefty paycheck for qualifying. I believe it's 20 million if I'm right. I might not be completely right on that, but I believe it is 20 million, and if we get that, that's more transfers potentially coming in, money into the club. It's just what we need. So there's definitely the incentive of money to win this as well. And we just need to do it for the fans. We need a boost. Rangers are on their back at the moment. We're doing horribly in the league. And the only place we've done quite well this season is Europe. And we really need to just get this result. Because in Europe, our European run, except this Club Rouge game, has been absolutely brilliant. Both home games we've dominated. And then we went away both times and sat back. And I've said this, I hate when we do that. So we cannot, and I stress this, cannot just go into this and go, yeah, we're just going to sit back and take some punishment. Why would we do that? We need the win. So, Russell Martin, this is for you. You really, really do need to pull your finger out. Like, this is what we stand for. Like, we need this. We need to be that club that we are used to be. We used to be so successful, and we just want to get back to that. And we've been close. The last time we've had proper gratitude like that is when we got to the Europa League final, and that was a big moment. And unfortunately, we just didn't hit the nail on the head on the night, and it went to the penalty shootout. And I just don't want to get in that. But yeah, the last time we felt true success was during that, and from there on out, we've just kind of been on our back a little bit. But yeah, we need this. We want to re-qualify for the Champions League once again, and who knows what happens in the Champions League. It's a whole new format, and it's time to talk about it, obviously, because we're basically there if we do get this result. And if we don't, it's Europa League football, and it's just another year of same old, basically, where we could go far in the competition. But under Russell Martin, I said this in our last video, I just don't see us doing any. I really don't. So if it comes down to that, it will be a manager switch. And honestly, this is a big game for Russell Martin. He really needs this, because if he fails this game, that's one of our objectives done. We're out of Europe in terms of the Champions League. We'll be in the Europa League, and that's just an objective failed. That'll put him on thin ice with ownership, I'd hope. And then if this league form continues, surely he'll be gone by even the old form. I really hope he's gone by then. But yeah, honestly, this is one of those ones Rangers need. Like I said, it is a most important game of the season so far. And yeah, if we win, we win. If we lose, I don't know. Is it technically a win because that puts Russell Martin on thin ice? Maybe we'll see it as a win, who knows. But yeah, that is it for the Rangers versus Club Brugge, the second leg preview. There's not too much detail to go into it because I did discuss a lot of what happened in the first leg preview, and if you really want to watch that, you might get a lot more insight into what I think of Club Brugge just before this first game occurred. And yeah, I went more into detail about all that type of stuff, like what we could do to expose them, and stuff like that. So if you really want to go check that out, go check it out. It is what it is. But yeah, that is it for this Club Brugge versus Rangers preview to the second leg. Hopefully enjoyed it, and hopefully Rangers can go and get a result, because this is what we need. We boost the morale of the team. Russell Martin would unfortunately get more chances. Um, and the fans would be happy, because Champions League is a huge boost, and it'd be a good financial boost as well for Rangers, so everyone's a winner. But yeah, let's just hope we go and get a result. And like I said, if not Europa League, same old, same old. But yeah, that is it. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And the growth has been absolutely brilliant. The last video on Russell Martin went very, very good, and there was a lot of positive feedback in the comments, so I really appreciate that. Helps me out, helps me do all the good stuff and figure out what needs to be improved. And all feedback is good feedback to me. But yeah, thank you for watching. I've been DJD, and that's it. Root to it in a minute.